4 interesting All-Ireland Senior Football Championship quarterfinals on the agenda to discuss the 2 on Sunday in particular, Galway versus Armagh and Mayo versus Kerry. We have Irish Sun sports writer Jason Byrne on the line. Jason, a really intriguing Sunday doubleheader at Croke Park, but we'll start off with Galway and Armagh. Your assessment on what promises to be an intriguing encounter.
Yeah, it'll be a great game. Cian, I can't wait. I'm actually going up to cover that one myself. I think it'll be just an absolute cracker. I think it's very hard to call. Both teams have so much momentum now compared to maybe where they did even at the start of the championship when we were kind of unsure about Galway, and then they went and they beat Mayo, and then they got that kind of title. And Armagh just bounced back brilliantly from that Ulster championship defeat against Donegal to beat Tyrone and then beat Donegal at the second bite of the cherry. The momentum they have now is just massive. I just can't wait to see what happens at Croke Park. It's going to be, it'll be interesting to see. Is it going to be all out attacking, or will there be a bit of defensive play on the table as well, given the sets of forwards that both teams have? There'll be huge battles there in the middle too. You have Charlie O'Byrne's coming up against Paul Conroy, 2 of the big foreign players in the country. And you have some of the foreign forwards in the country on the field as well, and Ryan O'Neill and Robbie Finnerty. So it's just going to be a cracker. Shane Walsh too. Serious form from him. And I think the big thing for Galway is, and I've said it from the start of the year, is that Pádraic Joyce is all his big players fit, which is something he probably hasn't been able to say since when he took the job, and then COVID kind of came and really rocked the boat for him in a lot of ways. I know a lot of managers were in the same position, but Pádraic was just after coming in, and they were having a great league campaign until COVID came, and those injuries to Shane Walsh and Damien Comer and that really kind of upset the balance. But he's got them all fit and firing now, so it's a massive chance for both to get through to an All-Ireland semi-final. It's going to be great. This is the part of the championship now where it really heats up and gets exciting. Knockout football in Croke Park. So it's just such a hard one to call. That's the bottom line on it for me. It's just so hard to know what'll happen, but it's going to be a belter.
For Armagh, Jason, since Galway won the Connacht Championship, they've had 2 qualifier really encouraging wins over Tyrone and Donegal, of course. So they're bringing serious momentum, really big crowds at those games. They've a following again, and I suppose there's real belief in Armagh that they can make a real serious impact in the rest of this championship. Yeah,
because they got here the hard way, and they've failed big time in Ulster since 2008. That was the last time they won the title. They beat Fermanagh that year after replay. They've really failed in the provincial championship since then, and those accusations were being pointed at them again, rightly so, after that defeat to Donegal. But they've come through to this quarterfinal in the hardest way imaginable to beat Tyrone, and then just to do what they did against Donegal, they absolutely bullied them. So that momentum is huge. It kind of reminds me of those Armagh teams when they had momentum under Joe Cairn back in the noughties were unstoppable. As a Donegal man, they ruined my teams in a lot of ways, but it kind of, when I saw them get that momentum against Donegal and Clonus, and when I saw the way their supporters were getting behind them, it kind of brought me right back to those days when Kieran McGinney was on the field, and Oisin McConville and Stephen McDonnell and Francie Bellew and all them. So, this is a completely new team now, obviously, and McGinney has them exactly where he wants them. And the Kieran Donaghy impact's really telling too, particularly in terms of their forwards and how they go about their play. So that's been huge for them as well. So, as you said, Cian, the momentum and the belief that they have now will be absolutely massive, and sometimes that can definitely be the difference when you're in a knockout game, especially in Croke Park. They'll absolutely love getting up to Croke Park as well. The last time they were there, they absolutely toyed with Dublin in the league back at the end of January. So they'll love being back there too.
Jason, nationally, what's the view of Galway nationally? Obviously, really good to win the Connacht Championship, but outside of the province, what do you think that people believe Galway can do in the All Ireland series?
I'd say the jury's out in Galway for a lot of people, but the potential's definitely there. Parks into year 3, winning that Connacht title and beating Mayo was just massive, just to get that monkey off their back. And think it was the first time they won Connacht and Salthull since 2008. Is that right? Like they lost
2005, I think. Yep.
Yeah. So like they lost they had some very hurtful Connacht final defeats there against Mayo and 2 against Roscommon as well. So there's a couple of demons that have been banished there. Like, and people were always beating Galway with the Croke Park stick before too, but they've gotten rid of that as well in recent years. So they getting up to Croker now, and the way they're playing and the way their forwards are informed, the big open pitch will just be like a playground for some of them boys, especially the way Shane Walsh is playing. I'm just delighted for Paul Conroy too. I know Paul well from when I was working in Galway FM, and it didn't look great for him when that injury happened in 2018. And you thought it could have been the end for him, but to come back the way he has and get into the shape that he's in, and get into this sort of form, it's just great to see. And hopefully see more of it come on Sunday against Armagh as well.
Jason, as you mentioned, like their Armagh come to momentum. Galway are having nearly a 4-week layoff after the Connacht final, and they bet Mayo Leitrim game was an easy one to get over. Then they bet that Rossi's like, that's going to be a hindrance for Galway. They're going to really try and hit the ground running with Armagh coming this momentum behind them, especially those 2 hard games.
Yeah, and we've seen that happen to so many teams before as well, Colm. Like, and I know it's always a big factor in the hurling too. So like, how do you keep that match day sharpness on the training ground? That intensity. It is going to be difficult for sure. Like, it is a long break for them from competitive action, even though the season seems to be so condensed. It has been a hindrance to provincial champions before, especially like we've seen that from Kerry as well, coming in grossly undercooked from provincial campaigns before, and it's
long may it last.
Yeah, you divide that one. But like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'm not saying Galway dance through Connacht by any means, but the likes of Kerry who've waltzed through Munster, and then they've got the provincial title, and then they've had a long wait for a quarter final. It can definitely come back and cost you. I think we've seen that last year with Kerry, and we've seen it with other teams in the past as well, where there has been that big gap that someone's just waiting for a knockout punch, someone who's been through the mill, someone who's had a couple of big victories and have, week on week, bang, 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 just like where Armagh are at right now. So it's definitely a good point, and it's something Galway should definitely be concerned about.
Well, we're all hoping for a great, open, expansive, free-flowing game with the forwards in play. Is there a danger that both sides could try and set back and try and absorb and be defensive, and then we'll end up with a very sterile, low-scoring game that no one's going to want to see? What would you do if you were one of the managers?
It's very hard to know. Like, Geezer and Porrick Joyce will be doing their best to outthink each other this week, no doubt. Like, it is a distinct possibility that it's something we could see, because both teams have gone that way. I know, like, Galway probably have tried to tighten up again, reverted to type a wee bit of the tactics that they played under Kevin Walsh when they were so tight at the back, and I know they knew they did have to address that in a way, and they did so. But if I was either of them, I would just try and go for it, especially with the tools they both have at their disposal, especially in terms of the attack and the fact that it's in Croke Park and the quick play installed and the big wide open spaces. Like, God, you have the forwards there. Just go for it. Just use them. Let them, pile the ball into them. Let them get on it. Let them turn their man and let them boom them over the bar. Like, because when you have them there, it'll be crazy not to kind of go for it. But that's just me. I'm not Porrick Joyce or Kieran McGinney, but so it'll be interesting to see. There will be defensive patches for sure, especially maybe in the first half. But hopefully things open up then if that does come to be the case.
The second game, Colm, Mayo, following, I suppose, some anxious moments against Kildare, but ultimately they got the job done. They face a demanding task against Kerry, who have been the form team of the year, winning the Alliance Football League and cruising through Munster. But Mayo in these types of games previously have delivered.
They have, and it's what we're kind of hoping they do. But like, it's when the draw came out, I was going, that's probably the summer ended. As I started writing a preview there today, and I've nearly talked myself into Mayo having a chance of winning this game. But they're going to need an awful lot to go right for them, and they're going to really have to, an awful lot. They're going to have to do something different than they've done so far. Like, they've had those stages they fade out against for 20 minutes, and that happens against Kerry. The game be over, and like, I'm sure that's something Jason would probably agree with it. Mayo have to kind of bring the craziness from the start and try and do something different, because if you get Kerry on a run and you don't score for 20 minutes, like, you know, you're done for.
Yeah, like it's you know, I think Mayo got a good dose of that in the league final as well. Like, and you know, if imagine if David Clifford was out, you know, like, you know, he missed the Munster final, like, and there's word that he probably should be fit, but like, you know, his presence is obviously going to be massive. I'm sure Pádraig O'Hara had nightmares after that league final game. I know it was only the league final, and Mayo had a massive game against Galway coming around the corner, whereas Kerry could afford to go into that league final and just go all guns blazing and go and win it. So, you know, if Clifford's on the field at that battle with O'Hara again, you'd imagine it will be him again. Will be absolutely massive. Like, and people were pointing the finger probably a bit unfairly at Pádraig O'Hara that time. You know, because it doesn't matter who you are, how good a defender you are, David Clifford will just do that to you, and that's what you have to deal with. And if Mayo go and double up on him, you've Sean O'Shea, Paul Gannon, all these lads that will come and hurt you. Like, so it's a mammoth task for them. It really, really is. But these Kerry Mayo games in the championship, as we know, everything goes absolutely out the window. 2014 to 2017 games, those were all epic encounters. Like, and both went to replays, of course. And I expect kind of something of that ilk again on Sunday, hopefully. You know, and like Mayo kind of will know what they have to do. They'll know what they have to correct after kind of maybe a couple of sloppy enough performances and kind of just about getting over the line. So, you know, they'll learn hugely from that Kildare game as well. And but yeah, like Kerry are still hot favourites, but Mayo do have those couple of, you know, more closer games in the bank, and that'll probably stand to them as well. So again, like I would edge towards Kerry, but it's just there's something about when these counties play each other in championship where it's just everything goes out the window and you can just strap yourself in for a bit of madness.
Yeah, and even as just getting stuff there together, I was looking like, say in that league final Mayo, there was no Rob Henley, no Paddy Durkin, no Oisin Mullen, no Jim O'Connor, and realistically, no Cian O'Connell. So that's 5 players that are 5 starters that are back now from Mayo that weren't there. Obviously, we've lost Ryan Dunn. We're hearing he might be back and he might be able to come back this weekend. He hasn't played, obviously, it's the Galway game, but like there are 5 key players Mayo have this time around, Jason. They didn't the last time.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, and all vital players there, all massive names, and you know, like Durkin especially, when, you know, in Croke Park and championship, I think he's been robbed of a couple of all-stars, to be honest. I think he's just been exceptional. Like, you know, he can mark the best of the best and go and outscore them even by 3 or 4 points. He's just like when he's in top form, and everyone's talking about these clutch moments now, and I know Lee Keegan's been mentioned, but Paddy Durkin is the man for those as well, and having him in the field alone compared to that league final will be absolutely massive. What's the feeling in Mayo at the moment, Colm? Like, It's
kind of like it was actually very down near the head of the Monaghan game. People were kind of expecting them to maybe not get out of that, and then after the performance in the Kildare game, there's worry. Like, people are worried. They're kind of worried we could end up like a league final again. You know, people in Mayo won't care as long as they go out there, give their all, and do as much as they possibly can and leave everything out there. But people are kind of fearing they could get a hiding again if things go wrong early on, like they did in the league final. So, you know, they're still looking for everyone to go out there and give it their 100% and do as well as they can and leave everything out there. And that's all you can ask from these lads. Like,
Jason, since 2014, Kerry haven't won an All Ireland. No, to people in Kerry, that's a famine.
I think it's just Dublin and Tyrone.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely a famine. Like they'll tell you every year then there's a famine, and like Jack O'Connor came back for take 3 of this job. Like it's Sam Maguire they want. It's Sam Maguire, the man on the street, and Ken Mayer wants, and you know the pressure that comes with that job is just massive, and the microscope that's on them all the time is just massive. And you know, the way it kind of disintegrated last year against Tyrone, you know, when they thought you know they were finally going to end that drought, and you had the fallout then with Peter Keane, and you know you had all the distractions in the lead up to that game with Tyrone with the COVID stuff and everything else, and then Jack, it looked like he was going to stay until there, and then all of a sudden he was back with Kerry, and it's just it's been mad stuff down there really. Like, and you know I'd say at this stage they'd love to have a couple of tests under their belt, because the Munster Championship just doesn't give them that anymore. It's a shame, and I know things are being shaken up next year, and we spoke about that briefly before we came on air, but like it's been a hindrance.
3 Munster teams in the last 8 though.
Yeah, that's true. Like if we're in Colm Collins later on, he'll probably tell me to back off. But like it's great to see them in there. Like, but like in terms of the actual provincial championship itself, it just hasn't served Kerry well in terms of getting a bit of a competitive edge into the All Ireland series, and that's been proven. As you said, Cian, 8 years for them is just such a massive famine. Like, and they'll feel like it. They really do have to win it this year. They really, really will feel like they do have to win it. Like, and you'd expect Dublin to get over Cork on Saturday night, and then whoever wins that Kerry Mayo game are coming back up against them again. And everyone was writing them off. We were all dancing on their graves when Mayo beat them last year, and then they got relegated in the league. But these boys are back, and they mean business, and they have been kicked in the backside now a few times in terms of analysis in the media and everyone else, and they have a serious chip on their shoulder, and they are extremely, extremely dangerous. So whoever does come through are going to have to do it all over again. So that's a big fear for everyone.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, if we just look at the kind of, with that side of the draw being that way, when you have the Galway Armagh side, then you have Clare and Derry, whoever wins the Galway Armagh game, it's a huge opportunity to get to an All-Ireland final for those sides.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably why Mayo Donegal will be kicking themselves, because if they'd have won Ulster, like they probably would be playing Clare. It's it's definitely the softer side, like, and I definitely think like those Saturday games maybe aren't as appetizing. Like, Dublin definitely beat Cork, but Derry and Kerry been absolutely Galway coming up against Armagh. It's two teams now with massive momentum. I'm absolutely thrilled for Clare first and foremost, because Colm Collins is the longest serving manager in it. There was a few times there where he probably thought about walking away, and he didn't. He stuck with the group. He showed the loyalty. He just kept persevering, and to see them back in an All-Ireland quarter-final, I'm just delighted for them. Like, and he's a great fella. He's been very good to us in the media too. Always takes a call, and it's great to see them there. And they have a free shot now against Derry. There's no pressure on them whatsoever. All the pressure's probably on Rory and that Derry team after winning that Ulster title. And again, huge momentum in there with them too. So that'll be a great game. That'll be the game of the day on Saturday for sure. It could even be the game of the weekend. Who knows?
And Jason, just before we let you go, call it. So who's going to win the 4 games over the weekend? Who do you reckon?
If you put a gun to me head, Colm, I would go Derry, Dublin, Kerry, and Galway.
Well, at least one person in this podcast will be happy with that, Keane, won't you?
We will take that, Jason. We'll take that. Mightn't be a bad day for Galway if that happened.
Jason Byrne, thank you very much for your time, for joining us. It's much appreciated. We look forward to seeing you at the weekend and seeing the games up in Croke Park.